Well, driving up First Avenue in New York this week, just hours after Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's impassioned address to the U.S. Congress, I passed the green glass United Nations Secretariat building and couldn't help but think that perhaps one day it would be luxury riverfront condos. Perhaps that time is coming. The deficiencies of the UN system have been apparent to those willing to see them for years, but the war in Ukraine has highlighted the institution's unfortunate decline into near irrelevance. The oil for food scandal, ineffective, never-ending peacekeeping operations, failures to prevent genocide, sexual abuse scandals, a human rights council stocked with human rights abusers, billions in waste and fraud, and a clear anti-American, anti-Israel sentiment have damaged the credibility of the once vaunted institution of post-war peace and cooperation, likely beyond repair. When it comes to Ukraine, the sprawling global bureaucracy again failed to prevent the war or the atrocities that we are seeing every day. It has been almost entirely absent from the humanitarian response as the largest refugee crisis in Europe in nearly a century gets more desperate. Given Russia's Security Council veto, the UN couldn't even recommend that Putin be tried for war crimes in the International Criminal Court. Russia was, in fact, the president of the UN Security Council when they attacked Ukraine without provocation last month. UN reform efforts that would address both the structural and operational deficiencies over the last several decades have made little progress. Now, Zelensky's speech will be remembered, of course, for its powerful words and imagery, but also for discussing the clear ineffectiveness of current international organizations that are supposed to respond with clarity to threats to freedom. He said, quote, "We propose to create an association, U24, United for Peace, a union of responsible states with the strength and conscience to stop conflicts immediately, provide necessary assistance within 24 hours if necessary, with weapons, with sanctions, humanitarian support, political support, and money, everything we need to keep the peace." Now, I'm not sure that that is exactly the answer, but he has an inconvenient point for many in the U.S. and global foreign policy establishment. As we watch the world realign, the time has come to finally create new international alliances that can meet the challenges of the new global construct that we face. Instead of debating the effectiveness of the UN or the rest of the alphabet soup of international organizations, the U.S. can again play a leadership role in establishing new cooperatives for a new era that this time help marginalize the power of China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, and others who are part of the authoritarian bloc. A successor of some sort to the UN would not merely have what we call peacekeeping responsibilities, but be a new global economic, energy, and military alliance to counter the new axis. The UN and other international organizations in the post-Soviet era were intended to promote international law and peace. That idealism has led to paralysis, abuse, and authoritarians like Communist China actually taking over these institutions. China's influence, in particular, in all of the major arms of the United Nations has grown significantly over the last decade, including the areas of food, agriculture, aviation, telecommunications, industrial development, and as we learned during COVID-19, the World Health Organization as well. The United Nations and many of the other international organizations that have been part of our global environment since the end of the Second World War were designed for a particular time and set of aspirations that may no longer be relevant or achievable. World peace cannot be achieved when communist and authoritarian regimes still exist with imperial designs. Continued U.S. engagement at the UN is critical to counter these corrosive influences of the Communist Chinese and others, but the end game should be realigning free nations away from organizations that empower authoritarians and human rights abusers toward a more potent, efficient, and effective new multilateral organization. It's time we took the concept of creating new institutions seriously, as Zelensky suggested this week. Allowing brutal regimes like Russia, China, and Iran to have outsized power in the same room as the community of free nations led by the United States is a sign of our weakness. Our international organizations should seek to strengthen the free world, not play defense in the face of leaders like Putin and Xi at the expense of the vulnerable in places like Ukraine.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.